Identity and Memory is a presentation made by Ciara Albert, Giodi Liu, and Izzy DeLucia. What is identity? Identity is very important for informatics. Identity wasn't selected or adopted, it is something that became who you are and you birthed into it. Self and identity. Self and identity both revolve around social interactions. Self is referred to one's senses of who they are and what they are. Identity is referred to how one sees a person by the way others perceive them. Regional identity is a part that reaches from unconsciousness to rational consciousness. Practical consciousness is defined by living and working in everyday life with routines. This forms a stable frame for an individual's behavior and decisions. One of the prevailing perspectives in sociological social psychology is social cognition. Social cognition is a theory of how we store and process information. This provides the theoretical underpinnings of understandings of identity. A social base of identity includes ethnic identity. Articles assume that identity development is complicated for the individuals that belong in ethnic and racial minority groups. More attention has gone towards multi-ethnic and mixed race backgrounds.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit about memory. According to Oxford Languages, memory is the faculty by which the mind stores and remembers information. Memory is how we retain, reproduce, and recall what we have learned throughout our past experiences. The types of memory are sensory, short-term, and long-term memory. Sensory memory takes in information provided by the senses, splitting into iconic memory, which is from your visual sense of information, haptic memory, which is from touch, and echoic memory, which is from your sense of hearing. But sensory memory only lasts a few hundred milliseconds to 1 or 2 seconds. From sensory memory, we move into short-term memory, which lasts a bit longer. But short-term memory only has a storage capacity about 7 plus or minus 2 items, and you have to make a conscious effort to keep these things in short-term memory. From short-term memory, things are moved into long-term memory, which can last up to your lifetime. These things include significant events, the meanings of words, and physical skills. There are also 2 types of long-term memory. The first is declarative memory, which is explicit in the sense that you can name and describe each of these remembered things, like remembering a birthday. Non-declarative memories are implicit memories, like how to ride a bike or tie your shoes. And now I'll pass it over to Ciara.
Thanks, Jody. We also wanted to relate our topic of identity and memory specifically to college students. So in the module, we covered a study about effective note-taking and how it related to memory, the way students are presented lecture material, the method in which they take their notes, their individual learning differences, how students are going to be tested and review their notes, and their cognitive load all affect how well the student will remember the information. So these characteristics are important for college students to consider when trying to take instructive notes. Memory can also be affected by the social groups students identify with. One study had Princeton students recall information from presentations of both Princeton and Yale alumni. Princeton students were more likely to remember more and forget less of the former Princeton student's presentation than of the former Yale student's presentation. Selective listening and forgetting were increasingly likely to occur if the speaker was in the same social group as the audience. Further, our communication and interaction with people help us to form groups we can identify with. A study found that college students that use social media to talk about college sports were more likely to develop a greater college group identity and collective self-esteem. So we can use different techniques in communication to help us remember information and find group identity. And here are our sources. Thank you for listening.